Shiraz felt the shame of the all too familiar eye roll as he sat with his new team. People always seemed to roll their eyes at him. For as long as he could remember, he had off-the-wall ideas. He couldn't help it. They just occurred to him, and they were so exciting to him. Once, he had this idea about the shape and constitution of ice cubes that he thought was brilliant. But when he shared it with his buddies, he was met with more eye rolling and a lot of laughter. All the eye rolls had taught him to keep his ideas to himself. So now he was at a boutique medical device company, and the leadership kept talking about new ideas and the need for innovation. It totally excited him, but it kind of scared him. So as he sat with his new team, even as ideas came flowing into his mind, he kind of kept them to himself unless he thought that the team was really likely to agree. It was kind of like an internal battle that was raging in his mind. Do I share my idea and risk the eye roll and ostracizing, or do I keep it to myself? He couldn't get past the struggle. Shiraz's struggle was all about the power of his CliftonStrengths Ideation talent. The talent was trying to get out, but too much past hurt was keeping it from shining. Hi there, welcome to the Isogo TV podcast from isogostrong.com. I am Becky Hammond, I'm your host today, and you and I gather here on this podcast to fixate on strength in our families and on our teams. Because when we start from assuming strength, we can make relationships easier. This is episode 107. We are in a series right now about how to make relationships easier with our strengths. And today, we're chatting all about one of the 34 Clifton strengths, the ideation strength. It's so easy to see the negative and focus in on that in ourselves and in others too. But you can really impact relationships by emphasizing the positive, by switching that mindset. They're the strengths that you already have. Yet sometimes, as you probably already know, the line between what you use as a strength that's good and true and right can actually negatively impact your relationships. That line is a thin one. So let's continue to take a look at what it looks like to make relationships easier through the lens of ideation. It's true, you might come across as a little all over the place, but in your mind, it all connects. And in the end, you are the one who creates and pushes the envelope to think outside the box. You create our futures. If you operate from the ideation talent, it is your generator of all things brilliant. And maybe all things a little ludicrous. Your mind is incredibly powerful in the way it spontaneously and constantly comes up with ideas. You're also brilliant at making connections out of other people's kind of seemingly disconnected ideas. You see the unexpected pieces of the same puzzle in ways that other people cannot. That's why you're awesome in a brainstorming session. Your use of ideation has your mind constantly spinning. And while you love to generate ideas, you might not even really have the expectation that you actually have to do anything about them. Recently, I heard a colleague say that ideas are like oxygen to him. He needs them to live. So you'll take the deepest breaths of life when you're generating or considering ideas. So how does this show up in relationships? Let's talk about home and work environments. At home, you're probably known for your imagination. At play, you can dream up ideas and stories, and you can make relationships easier by speaking big picture encouragements and possibilities into the lives of your kids or your spouse. At work, in a team, I bet your ideation feels like a bit of a hit and miss, depending on who you are with and what the culture is like. It's kind of like Shiraz from our opening story. I remember sitting with him in a workshop and seeing the light bulb go off for him. He was the only one on his team with the ideation talent. And they were a company and a department that was built on innovation. He almost came to tears when he realized that his team actually needed his ideas to survive and thrive on the forefront of the industry. And then here's the other piece. His team was also seeing that they needed him too. If they had ever rolled their eyes at his ideas, now they were taking it back, realizing that he was speaking not from lunacy, but from uniqueness and from talent. And that's what using strengths to make relationships easier is all about. Recognizing that people need your talent and having other people see the value that you really offer through your talent. So it's up to you to figure out how to recognize and dial in your ideation strength to make those relationships easier at home and at work. So here are a couple ideas of ways to craft your environment to feed that ideation talent while building strong, easier relationships. First, pick your platform. At work and at home, there are times when sharing your amazing ideas are going to be met with appreciation, and times when they'll be met with struggle and frustration. So in order to use your ideation to make relationships easier, you have to pick your platform of sharing your ideas. You gotta know when to and when not to. You know, when you're in a meeting with your team where you're ironing out the final details of that project that launches in 2 days, you're probably not gonna win any new friends by spouting out your new ideas of ways that maybe this could be a little bit different. When your kids are putting the finishing touches on a creative story for school, or they're stuffing their backpacks in haste before they run out the door, they're not going to be as open to your new ideas about the storyline or an alternate idea for their show and tell object. It's just going to cause aggravation in those moments. But when there's an open discussion at the beginning, or at the beginning of a project, or the evening time, just kind of sit with your family, those are the times that they need and want and could relish in your ideas. So the first action is to pick your platform. And the second one is to reframe your mindset of ideation. You know, much of using our strengths to make relationships easier is about truly buying into and adopting the strengths perspective mindset. That mindset is one that chooses to fixate on what is right with people instead of what is wrong with people. The most productive and meaningful strengths mindset is one that knows and dials in your own strengths while also accepting and appreciating the strengths of the people that are around you. So, for your ideation strength, your ideal mindset has to do with getting past that eye roll. Just like Shiraz's experience while he was sitting there, learning about the strengths of his team and of himself. Your ideation strength is an amazing, wonderful thing. And the people around you, they need it. They need that from you. So if you're feeling uncertain because of the way that you've been treated as you share your creative, sometimes wacky idea, right? Notably, start practicing telling yourself a different story. People need your ideas. They need you to explain what you're doing and to pick the right platform and timing. That's what we just talked about as the first action. But in the end, the world would not progress without your ideas. So pick your platform and keep them coming. Your team and your family need your ideas. So there we have it, a bit about how you can use your ideation strength to make relationships easier around you, in your family or on your team. If you operate from the ideation strength, or maybe someone close to you does, I'd love to know how this episode sits with you. You know, you are the one who is living and breathing with this strength. How does it work well in your relationships? And where do you find that you still need to kind of work to fine tune it? So head over to Instagram and tag or direct message me at Isogo Strong with your thoughts on what ideation looks like in your relationships at work or at home. That is spelled ISOGO Strong. And if you are even more curious about impacting the relationships around you by fixating on strength instead of weakness, I'd love to help give you a jump start as your virtual coach. You know, it's super easy to get started, and since you listened today, I'd love to give you $5 off the Strength Startup Virtual Coach Kickstarter. In this email coaching series from me, you'll get insights into your talents and strengths, as well as some action that you can take to make relationships easier around you. So, if you go over to isogostrong.com/strengthsstartup, you can check it out. And then, as you are checking out, you can use the code VirtualCoach5 for $5 off. I'd be honored to get a chance to get to know you and those amazing strengths that you have. You know, because you and your strengths have the power to make a ripple effect in your family, on your team, and then ultimately across the entire world. You can make relationships easier as you fixate on strength in your family and on your team. So dial them in, take ownership for your mindset, and make those relationships easier. Until next time on Isogo TV.